Hello and welcome to this bonus episode of Weight Loss 360 with Boots Online Doctor. This is the place where our experts get myth-busting and answer the questions everyone wants to know. I'm Helen Thorne, a comedian, podcaster, and today Ruth Taylor, nutritionist and registered nurse on the Boots Online Doctor team will be discussing ultra-processed foods and the effect they have on your weight loss journey. Take it away, Ruth.
Thanks, Helen. We thought it'd be a really important conversation to be having because they're so part and parcel of what we eat. Perhaps it'd be good to start off by thinking about what exactly are ultra-processed foods or UPFs. We see a lot about these in the press and in magazine articles. Thinking about where they came from, I think, is the first step. So they're basically really manufactured foods. They've been packed with all sorts of chemicals, unfortunately. So they're not brilliantly good for us and have all sorts of negative effects on our health. So they contain something called emulsifiers. And we know that emulsifiers will affect our gut microbiome. We talked about that in an earlier episode. We know our gut microbiome is really important for our health generally, for our immune health, for helping our bowels function well. So we want that to be thriving. And we know that ultra-processed foods can really play havoc. They're also packed full of preservatives and also colorants. And they sort of really taste and look incredibly appealing. But that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be good for us.
Well, that's it. And I think, sometimes when you're in the supermarket and it's brightly coloured, this tastes like cherry pop this, or, the sweet things are so appealing, like the highly sugary drinks, the highly sugary snacks. When we turn the package over, all we see are numbers and confusing words. And someone gave me some advice. If you don't understand what's on the back of your food, it's probably not going to be that good for you.
I think that's a brilliant point. And actually, that's a good way of recognising that something is, in fact, an ultra-processed food. If it's like an ingredient that you've never heard of, then you've got to be thinking, okay, so what exactly is this? And often they're incredibly unpronounceable names as well, or words, aren't they? I don't know if you've noticed that. And I think my advice is, if you wanted to recognise something as an ultra-processed food, because it can be hard to spot because they're part and parcel of what we often eat now. In fact, I think the suggestion is that 50% of the food that's consumed in the UK is an ultra-processed food. So that's a staggering statistic. So would you have that ingredient in your cupboard at home? And if you wouldn't, then it's very likely to be an ultra-processed food.
And obviously, sometimes out of convenience, or it's not going to be bad if you have them very, very rarely, but it's about if it's part of, the main part of your diet or whatever, because I think like ready meals often can be quite highly processed, and that feels like the easiest thing to do. But often just as quick is to quickly whip up some of your own food as well, because I think we get drawn to the convenience of ultra-processed food a lot.
Yeah, and it's totally understandable. We're living crazy busy lives a lot of the time, and even I will eat an ultra-processed food from time to time. I just don't make it the core of what I eat across the week. The thing is, they're made really palatable, so they are foods that we want to eat. And I guess something that would be really helpful for us to maybe think about is this thing called the bliss point. Have you heard of that?
No,
okay.
No. What is the bliss point?
Okay, so the bliss point is something manufacturers do to these processed foods. It makes those foods really, really yummy to our palates. It makes us want to eat them. The foods are created in such a way that they are sort of full of the right composition of fats, sugars and salts that we find them almost irresistible. So almost like you'll start eating a packet of crisps and you just can't stop.
Yeah.
You'll buy that family bag of crisps thinking you're going to share it with your family, and then before you know it, it's gone. And that's exactly what the bliss point is.
I sort of did a bit of a test on myself, and I don't know whether listeners, you want to try this too, is that one morning I had porridge with, the good stuff, a bit of yogurt, and some, some fruit and seeds or whatever. And I took my time to make it and eat it, and it took a while because porridge takes a while. The next day, my kids had some sugary cereal because it was school holidays or it was on sale. And I went, I'll just treat myself to a bit of, and as soon as I'd almost finished the last spoonful, I started mindlessly pouring another bowl of it. I couldn't get enough of it. And I was like, this is what it's doing to my kids. And I guess when you're on that weight loss journey is like you're really conscious of how much you eat and how quickly you eat. And often with processed foods, it's just so quickly to consume a great quantity.
Yeah, they're irresistible.
Yes.
You know,
delicious.
they've been created
Damn
to
it.
be irresistible. So what we know is that those UPFs can lead to that real overconsumption of really unhealthy ingredients. And it's really sad when you look at the research and the studies show us that those foods are really responsible for a change in our health as a nation. So we know that eating a lot of UPFs is linked to having problems with your weight, having obesity, mood-related disorders, heart disease, diabetes. And the interesting point about these studies is that they found that the more of those UPFs, the ultra-processed foods that we eat, the bigger the risk. So it's sort of like a dose-related response. So they're really something to think about having less of.
Now, as you said, they are very appealing and they're convenient. So how do we start to kind of replace or introduce non-ultra-processed food into our diet? Because it just, most of us are very time poor and, you know, we don't have a lot of extra money. And sometimes we associate eating really well with it being really expensive as well.
Gosh, that's such an interesting point. Yeah, good food does not have to be expensive. You aren't really doing any harm by eating inexpensive food. So you can start with really cheap. Even if you were to buy packets of rice or beans or lentils, or even start with tins of those if you're not familiar with the beans and lentils, they can be great if they're just canned in water. You can rinse them off and they're great to throw into food, and combine that with some nice above ground colourful vegetables. Really simple. It might not appeal to you. We have to change our taste buds in this whole process, because if we're used to those sort of ultra processed foods and how they taste, we are going to have a palate that's going to want those. So we're going to have to re-challenge ourselves to change our taste buds as well, I think. But make it fun. You know, it can be really rewarding, really tasty, something you can do together as a whole family. And I think you can save money as well.
Absolutely. And it's the sugar in things that I never really kind of understood. And when someone said, no, but there's heaps of sugar in like the pre-made pasta sauces and things like that, and things that you sort of think are healthy are really packed with all the stuff that's going to really wreak havoc on your, you know, your blood sugar levels and also how much you consume.
Yeah, that's so true. It's such a really, really important point. So start looking at the labels and seeing what's going on there as well. Thinking about the grams of sugar per 100 grams. So you want it to be low. So a low sugar product is 5 grams or less per 100 grams. And I think start by swapping and maybe look at what you're eating and what you're buying across the week. So if it is that you're buying a lot of sauces, maybe start by thinking, okay, how could I make a sauce? You could, you know, I grow some herbs on my windowsill at home. I'm no gardener at all, I have to confess. My children probably be cringing at this. But yeah, completely just grow some herbs on your windowsill if you can, because they can add really natural flavour and they bring a whole host of additional health benefits too. And then just chop up some vegetables and blitz them and make a sauce. It doesn't have to be pretty. It doesn't have to be expensive. And I think that can be a really simple way to get going.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Have you got any other tips actually about trying new recipes? Because we're all about promoting people being a bit adventurous, but sometimes you just open the fridge door and you think, I've got 3 carrots and I don't know what I'm going to do.
Yeah. If you've just got 3 carrots, you might be a bit stuck.
True.
But literally, I guess that would be a challenge. But otherwise, if you've got 2 or 3 ingredients, maybe 4, one thing I do is I just put all of those into an internet search engine. I just write them all in and ask them what I can cook. And it's amazing. You get 2 or 3 really easy to create recipes. And you can say simple recipe because, you know, sometimes you've not got much time.
Yes.
Or the energy. It's been a long day, whatever. And that can really help. And you can make really simple, delicious meals that you don't have to know what you're doing. It's step-by-step instructions. So that can be really great. And your body's going to really thank you.
Well, thank you, Ruth. Weight Loss 360 is a Fresh Air production with Boots Online Doctor. The producer is Ollie Seymour. Next week, we'll be exploring all things metabolism, so keep an eye out to hear more about that and how even small bits of activity can have a big impact. Thanks for listening. We're here to help you on your weight loss journey. So remember to follow Weight Loss 360 wherever you listen to your podcasts. Make sure you check out Boot's online doctor weight loss service for a whole load of other amazing advice and free resources, including a weekly live webinar where our experts can answer all your questions. The information shared here is evidence-based to help you achieve and maintain weight loss. However, if you have any health concerns or questions, please consult your GP before making any changes to your diet or lifestyle. Remember, every small change is a big step towards a healthier, happier you.